Okay, I'd like to call the September 5th Parks Board meeting to order at 5:33 p.m. Start with pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can I get a attendance roll call, please?
Mr. Marquardt?
Present.
Mrs. Miller?
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Present.
Mrs. Dixon? Absent. Mrs. Rivera?
Here.
Mr. Bungie? Not here. Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mrs. Ray?
Here.
Mr. Wiseman is here, but not in here yet. And I am here.
Okay, start with the consent agenda. Number 1 is minutes of the August 1st meeting. Number 2 is claims. We have the Parks and Rec General Fund, $6,461.03. Park Impact Fee, nothing. Parks and Rec Non-Reverting Fund, $2,135.54. Clubhouse Non-Reverting Fund, $6,506.77. Total expenditures of $15,103.34. Number 3 is donations. Culver's Holiday Liquors and JMA Architects each donated $500 for the Taylor Ice Fest. Rosati's Pizza donated $200 for the Taylor Ice Fest. Strack and Van Til donated a vegetable tray for the August senior gathering. Raul Garcia, our parks employee, donated 5 boxes of chocolate candy bars for the August movies in the park. And Dale Holste donated soccer gear to the park soccer program. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda?
Just thank you to all of the donors.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Marquardt?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes. Okay, motion carries 3-0. Old business, number 1 is Town Grounds Use and Management by Parks Department. This was deferred at the July meeting. I think there's still some more work to do on this. I know town council's hands are full with a lot of things, just a little bit, yeah. But I think a discussion, another get-together between town council and parks board might be necessary in the next couple months once some of those pressing items are taken care of.
Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, I know, there's a lot going on and so more to come on that. I think maybe another opportunity for us to sit down with town council would be good. Any other discussion on this topic?
Oh, well, I know in our June meeting, we brought up a bunch of talking points. There was never any established directive where parks were given a clear, this is your role and responsibility. I mean, there's a lot of areas that are obviously recreational, beach, playground, where soccer and other programs happen. But I agree, we still need that meeting. I believe the last meeting, Mary Jones said she was going to get a directive list from the overall council. Has there been any movement with that?
No, there has not.
Okay.
And something, something related to this, and I guess something that we discussed as a parks board is, there's a couple maintenance issues on town grounds. Number 1 is gazebo. Number 2 is the Eagle's Nest, Lion's Den. Eagle's Nest, Lion's Den. Roof. We've been considering, applying some of our budget to at least go towards repairing the gazebo. But I know there's been some discussion on should it be moved or is it going to stay in the same place?
Yeah.
If we were willing to dedicate some of our budget to the gazebo project, with the town council be able to agree on where it's going to be placed.
I think it's fine where it is, but
Okay.
There's other council members that feel like it should be moved.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it is moved, are you asking if you should do the repairs now or wait till it's moved?
Well, I guess we would dedicate some funds, because I know there's some insurance funds that would come in also, but if we dedicated a certain amount of money, not to exceed a certain amount, and at least then with the stipulation that we're all gonna agree on where it's gonna be placed, yeah. Because, you know, I guess we don't want to just let that project go.
Right.
So, is there any discussion from the board on that topic?
Well, I know that, what Mindy's looked into, you weren't thinking that the insurance money would cover, so we definitely want to help move it along, make it happen. So that would probably be something we could talk about whenever we have this joint meeting about town grounds as a whole.
And possible repair of the shelter roof too,
Yeah.
that was no direction because of other items that have piled up for it. So consideration of that park budget as well.
Okay.
Try to continue to make improvements.
So would it make sense before we, acted on any type of number, dollar amount, can we get firm, quotes on the roof? Or do we already have a firm quote on the roof?
We have a firm quote on the roof.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
can I ask what the quote is?
Yeah, we received quotes, a few months back, like
Yeah.
5 months ago or so. But it was for a steel roof, and that was a $17,000, estimate for a steel roof.
Mhm. And then as far as gazebo goes, I mean, does that fall in our lap to get the budget, or get a quote, or?
Actually, that was a Kubiak thing, because
Okay.
it was the town and the insurance money, for it. I was willing to very much assist, and I do know that the insurance adjuster is reaching out often to know when to send the check, and there's just no further direction. And if you're willing to throw a little extra at it, because if it's going to be a relocate, it's gonna have to need a little bit more funds. And I know that materials are higher now, so it wasn't a replacement cost, it was, you know, there's gonna be a little bit more money needed,
Yeah.
is what I'm stating. And that would be a good project between council and park board to move forward on improvement on town grounds.
Okay. Well, I want to amend this item so that we can take some type of action to move that project along. So what I would ask is, can we amend this agenda item to direct Mindy to determine costs for a gazebo, or work with Kubiak to determine costs for the gazebo replacement? And then also recommend to town council to help us agree on if it's going to be moved or if it's going to stay in the same place. And then, you know, at our next meeting, then we would consider, you know, a dollar amount that we'd be willing to take from our budget to that project.
Right, you don't know how much it's going to cost, if it's going to stay put or be moved, that's two totally different numbers.
Yeah. So to make that more concise, can I solicit a motion to amend this item to direct Mindy to get the final cost for the gazebo repair?
Did you have a comment you wanted to make, Mr. Austin? Do you have anything to add to this?
Well, I'm not certain you need even a motion for this.
Okay.
Just indicate you're gonna take the actions to connect, or direct Mindy to connect with the town council, town
Okay.
manager, for these two specific items.
Okay.
So we could just request those things and then defer the overall topic when we think we'll have more solid
Yes.
answers.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you'll get a good report next month from Mindy also.
Okay, yeah.
So realistically, Julie, I know you guys have a lot going on. Does it make sense to defer this to the town grounds topic to the next meeting? Do you think we'll even have time to meet in between?
I would say defer it, even if we can meet, I don't know, I don't know how everyone's schedule is, but even an exec session after the park board, the next park board meeting, because I know before it would be a little early.
Mhm.
And I mean on the same day as the October park board meeting, if we can't get together before that.
Okay.
All right, so then I would like to make a motion to defer discussion of town grounds use to our October meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Sarah, second by Greg. Roll call, please.
Mr. Markwart?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes. Motion carries 3-0. Okay, number 2, park maintenance shop. This was also deferred from the July meeting. I don't think we have much update here. We're just waiting. We directed Mindy to get some survey done, or site plan done by our engineering firm, Christopher B. Burke, just to kind of lay out what that shop would look like at the clubhouse property. We're waiting for that to come back at this time, right?
Yeah, they had hoped to have it for your October meeting.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
So then I'll motion to defer park maintenance shop to our October meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion by Sarah, second by Greg. Roll call, please.
Mr. Markwart?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes. Motion carries 3-0. Number 3 is Park Foundation. This was deferred from the August meeting. So I think we had some discussion on this that, really does there need to be a formal application out there to accept applications? I know we just kind of discussed this, but.
The formal application helps you discern and differentiate between candidates.
Mhm.
And the nature of this type of business entity, tax-exempt, not-for-profit, probably want as much clarity as you can get in the application.
Okay.
Doesn't need to be brain surgery, but you need to get enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, can we build off of the application that we currently use for boards and commissions and
Probably,
retrofit that?
probably, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I know Julie did her homework and she had looked into other communities and how they did their application process looking for the specific candidates that would be fitting. So whose role would it be to make the new application form at this point?
Well, I would think it would be yours, because
Okay.
you're going to be married to the new organization, or the new board, when that entity has enough people for a board.
Okay.
How many people are we looking for the Park Foundation?
3 to 5, or more. You can have more.
It's
Yeah, at least 5.
5, and it's across network, across the community.
Volunteering.
I've volunteered for 8 years in this one, Julie. Pro bono, still alive, breathing.
So then Mindy, in coordination with legal, would come up with an application form and then
Do that.
council would solicit?
Yeah, no, we could do that, but didn't Mary Jo Dixon have a say in this in terms of the discussion we had in the process?
As far as the application,
Yeah.
Mary Jo had spoken at a council meeting about creating an application. I don't know if it's where it's at, and maybe I should touch base with her. But I can offer assistance in helping get that executed if it's just not where it needs to be.
Okay. And even if we had people that were interested, just to get them to fill out the application, just so we can look at names on paper and start advertising that application.
Right,
That would
maybe
have to be a formal motion from the town council to make that happen. You've already recommended that to your council. It's just they didn't act on it yet to.
To kind of solicit
the-
applicants?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was reported but not acted upon, so no applications can take place until it's, action is taken in the town council meeting.
Okay.
so do we want to use the boards and commissions application?
That's a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to reinvent the wheel for it, so we just use that. But as long as town council formally, allows us to solicit applications.
Actually, our boards and commissions, that's a really good idea. That can be informative into custom it for town park foundation entity. But it would work.
Do you think by your guys' next meeting, you would be able to discuss that?
We can put that on the agenda
Yeah.
to solicit.
I don't think there's much that you guys would need to do with that other than just allow the town to solicit the application and,
Julie, do you want to make a note for a report to the town council at the next meeting
Sure.
on this?
okay. Any other discussion on this topic?
Right on it.
All right, then I guess it makes sense I'll make a motion to defer Park Foundation to October meeting.
I may second it.
Okay, motion by Sarah, second by Greg, roll call please.
Mr. Markort?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries 3-0. Number 4, context design 5-year master plan deferred from the July meeting. Any updates here? Other than we had a steering committee, 2 weeks ago? Context design, provided some preliminary survey results to us, and that was the gist of the meeting, kind of went over the survey. The survey period's over now, and they did a really good job of getting to the farmer's market. We blasted the survey all over social media, on the website. How many responses do we have for?
Reported at 416.
Okay, so we have 416 survey responses. They kind of gave us their preliminary results. Are they gonna report that to us in a concise form after the fact? Was that like a memo form or?
Yeah, we're gonna be receiving a memo with actually that project timeline of the remainder of the master plan and next steps.
Okay.
We had asked for that in the steering committee meeting, but you're right on what we talked about. We just reviewed some of the survey results. This might be a good time to address top 1 and 2 wants of the community that we've seen, because it's actually guiding us to make further direction with end of year monies and such.
Yeah. So number 1 by far in the survey results that we saw was the need for, or the want for, walking nature type trails. That was number 1. And we kind of knew that going in. We weren't surprised by that. So I guess we can segue into talking about Founder's Creek Trail.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add discussion of Founder's Creek Trail, and I guess we should just include the 133rd.
So do we want to just defer the context design item to the next meeting and then
Yeah,
we'll...
yeah, we should do that first.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to defer master plan discussion to October.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Sarah, second by Greg, roll call please.
Mr. Markort?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carried 3-0. Okay.
All right, so I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to discuss Founder's Creek Trail and 133rd Avenue project.
Okay, this is motion by Sarah,
And I'm seconding that.
second by Greg, roll call please.
Mr. Markort?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries 3-0. Okay.
So, as Paul said, we saw that the number 1 request was trails, and Founder's Creek was something that was spearheaded at least 2 years ago by previous council and town manager. The vision was to connect Lemon Lake, go kind of behind Robin's Nest, and come out toward town grounds, making a nice scenic walking path for the town. And also to prevent flooding on 133rd and make a way to extend the sidewalk so everything would be connected. Since it's kind of fell through the cracks because we had a lot of transition, but we wanted to make sure that this stays going because we did receive matching funds grants last June, I believe it was, or April. But we need to figure out where all the documentation is and kind of get the people who should be leading it up. And also, Julie, I think the moratorium is affecting.
It could, yes. I did talk to Jen about matching funds, and she said that park impact fees have been earmarked for these funds. She suggested that the park board and Randy and myself get with Don Oliphant. Now, I know he's going to be leaving on a long vacation soon. She said that she believes the groundwork has been laid and there's been some easements that we've acquired. Maybe, Dave, you can speak to this.
We needed 6 parcels to connect the trail pathway. We own 5 of them now. We're down to the last one.
Yeah. So there has been some groundwork laid. I just spoke to her actually on my way here. So there's some money earmarked, but again, we don't want this to fall through the cracks. And so, you know, getting with Don as far as the design and next steps moving forward. So Jen would be the one that would sign off on everything. She's the town's ERC. So I think working with Jen, Don, and you all.
Okay.
we could then-
Julie, when I kind of looked around on that application, it was when the previous council had applied, they cited stormwater, town revenues, and park impact fees. Is there still an opportunity for discussion at those funds to help offset, or it's 100% park impact from this point? What your understanding is?
You know, the issues with the stormwater money right now. So my understanding was park impact fees, but like I said, I just talked to her briefly on my way here.
Okay. Yeah, and she has a good idea of the sustainability plan and what's there.
Yeah, on the old sustainability plan, so we can only hope, but it definitely, she knows about it and groundwork has been laid.
Okay.
Now, I know it's a multiple-year project, it's gonna be done in phases, but with the wetlands over by Robin's Nest, my understanding was that it could be over 12 months to get engineering finalized, and that there's a bidding process that should be happening to make sure we hit that starting mark of 26.
Okay.
And the project on 133rd, in the schedule that came from NERC, it said 23, 24, and 2025 as far as doing work there.
I believe we have until 2026.
For all of it?
I'll have to check with her.
Okay.
It'll be here before we know it, right?
Yeah.
It
So,
does
yeah.
go fast.
Yeah, it's gonna go quick.
Which town engineer is handling this?
Jen, I think it was Don for that, so.
Maybe we can get a report update from Burke
Okay.
for the next meeting. That would be really
That sounds
I can request that.
Yeah. So, I was gonna say I think next step would be consulting with Don to see where we're at with this and what his next step would be and monies that we would need to earmark for any engineering on that project.
Normally.
When I spoke with the town manager on this topic, when I brought it to his attention, he stated this sits on the CBEL report for the town council monthly. It's just
Mhm.
no forward movement on it.
Okay. Well, we gotta keep it alive.
Is there any idea on a date for that last parcel that we need?
No.
No?
No.
You really can't start doing
Very
anything.
close.
Once you acquire
They can
everything, we
keep
can
it
start probably, but
Mhm. Yeah.
start before that.
Do you foresee that last parcel being a challenge?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that will hold the whole shebang up.
More than you want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we could just do nothing till we get that.
Yeah.
I'll give you an update next month also.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause that's
It
big.
isn't out of sight, out of mind.
No.
Yeah.
It's just,
Okay.
yes.
Well, it sounds like the coordinated meeting's the best next step
Mhm.
in the report.
Yeah, good.
I guess we should keep this on the schedule though and defer it to October.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll make a motion to defer discussion of Founder's Creek Trail project to October.
I second that.
Okay, motion by Sarah, second by Greg, roll call please.
Mr. Markort,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, motion carries 3-0. Other item on new business is staffing. Mindy, do you want to give us a little update on that?
As we've evolved as a park system and had like a full year of operating, we have assumed additional responsibilities and roles with the care, custodial care of the town grounds facility, which is open 7 days a week, and the entirety of the clubhouse custodial care. Due to that, I'm recommending 2 part-time positions that could actually just be used for those purposes. to allow the park crew, which is very limited in size, the ability to continue with maintenance projects, and hiring somebody who would be able to take care of the custodial projects for us. So I was making a recommendation and sent a job description off for your review. Of course, next steps would have to happen on council's behalf, but I was hoping for the opportunity to advertise and hire one custodian this year in a part-time capacity, working anywhere 30 hours or less, and then next spring, consider for the busy season, the second hire of the second part-time custodian. And then I had also identified the need for a recreation specialist. This is a position that would assist the rec coordinator in programming and events. We've been doing a lot of things here in the park system, but unfortunately we've been utilizing our maintenance staff as extra hands on deck. We're at that point that we're going to have to, our maintenance staff, being new, have been choosing comp time over time and a half pay for those opportunities, but they're getting ready to max out on comp time, which will result in time and a half pay to them. And I believe a better use of the budget is to hire a part-time rec specialist to fulfill the role and the needs of with the programming and events here.
Okay.
The programming end.
So you need us to consider recommending town council to post those jobs, or to allow those jobs?
Recommending them to be able to send the descriptions for review and to update the salary ordinance to include those two positions.
Okay.
Well, there would be three. It would be two custodial and one part-time rec specialist.
2 part-time custodial and 1 part-time rec specialist. Okay. Is there any discussion from the board on this topic? I think it makes sense. I mean, you know, it sounds like we're hiring more people, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to help extend our budget a little bit, and you know, hopefully these positions are a little bit less costly to do some of those jobs that our full-time maintenance workers are currently doing when they could be out doing other things, and you know, just putting those resources in place a little bit more responsibly. So I would solicit a motion to recommend town council to accept or authorize 2 part-time custodial positions and 1 part-time rec specialist position, and update the salary ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Sarah, second by Greg. Roll call, please.
Mr. Markowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries 3-0. I would also, in new business, I would solicit a motion to amend the agenda so that we can discuss possible shelter structures other than town grounds.
I'll make a motion for that discussion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Sarah, second by Greg. Roll call, please.
Mr. Markowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes. So this is just to put this on the agenda so that we can start discussions. You know, when this board started 3 years ago now, or I guess 4 years ago now, I can't even keep track. 3 years ago, yeah. You know, shelters were a big push for the community, and I think that came up in our survey results for the master plan. You know, we've identified some of our larger parks to receive those structures. Kiwanis has always been one where we've identified that, you know, a shelter structure could go. So basically, you know, at this point, I think we can direct Mindy to at least get some quotes on shelter kits, and possibly, you know, look to encumber those funds for next year, once we see what those costs are, just to get that project moving forward. You know, I think we have some monies that we can encumber for next year, and, you know, I'd like to see at least one shelter get put up in the next year. So I don't know if we really need to take an action on this, but this would just be a directive to Mindy to start looking into quotes for a prefab shelter kit, and contractor options on who could possibly install that next year.
Oh, what is the estimated cost?
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet, so that's,
Oh, we don't have a range?
no, so that's, we're just directing Mindy at this time to, start getting those estimates.
Do we have specs?
No.
You did put a
Oh.
bid package out before my
Yeah.
arrival.
We have the original bid package,
Mhm.
which came in very, very high as far as who was willing to install, so.
It was over $1 million project for 2 restroom facilities and I think 3 shelters in the
Yeah.
park system. So.
And that was
because-
more of a comprehensive, project. This would be more to just identify a shelter kit, that then we would solicit a contractor to build for us, and then obviously have someone pour the concrete, rather than doing a large, comprehensive,
All shelters at once.
all shelters at once, bathroom facilities, to at least get a shelter up. I think we can do this, I don't know if a shelter kit costs $100,000, what it would be, but then, and obviously the labor for constructing the shelter, but just so we have an idea, and if we need to encumber funds this year for next year, we at least want to get that process started.
Is the cost going to be somewhere in the vicinity of $150,000?
No.
I would hope less.
We're
For the kit, I would hope less.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
we're
gonna
asking
be-
for the total project.
Yeah, mhm.
Yeah.
Who's going to construct it?
That would be determined next year after we pick the kit.
We do not want to run afoul of bidding on this. That's why I'm asking what I'm
I
asking.
can't hear you.
Don't want to run afoul on the bidding.
No, and so right now, we'd only be looking to get quotes on the shelter kit, so that we could possibly encumber funds for the kit, and then next year, we would put out a bid, or, start the bid process for the contractor to, construct the kit. So it would be 2 separate, purchases. We wouldn't be looking at a vendor to do everything.
Also, I do want to make you aware that through Sourcewell, our cooperative purchasing opportunity, you can, shelter kits and the construction of those kits
I love
could
that.
come through Sourcewell opportunity if you wanted to avoid the bid opportunity.
Okay.
I like that.
Because I think if we can
Your
slim
lawyer
down.
doesn't- Your lawyer doesn't like that.
No.
Just want you to know, it's more transparent to bid and solicit and open them in public and go from there. I recognize Sourcewell exists, but, that's how my view of it is.
You know, we've
Bid on
had,
the construction. You could do
okay,
that.
we've had these problems with, getting contractors to even fill out the paperwork. That's how this all started 3 years ago. Nobody would give us a bid on any of these projects. They got a stack of papers this big, they're gonna make $10,000. You're like, I ain't got time. So, we actually put out to bid twice already, paying big bucks out for those bids, for the packet being made up to set this
I remember all
contract.
that.
And then nobody responded. So, we were right back to zero and probably out
Do you
$100,000.
think that had anything to do with, the specs being a kit spec?
They weren't kit specs.
No, they were
So they were custom.
Yeah, these are all custom.
Now we're talking about kit specs.
a kit spec.
Yes.
And hopefully slimming down the project so that it's not, bathroom structures, shelters, but at least to get a shelter up.
Yeah, we want to get something in place somewhere.
There was a complaint about some of the language of requirements for the contractors, but I can't remember what it was about.
And they changed it,
Mhm.
Did they?
yeah. But it's still, nobody bid the project, any of them. They just said, forget it, we don't want it.
You did receive one.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the number.
For $1.1 million or something.
Yeah.
That's what the one we received, which was just way out of the ballpark. So, I don't know, I wish there was just an easier way to get bids on this. I don't mind getting bids, but going through that bid packet makes it very difficult.
Is it a project that can be done in-house?
I would not feel comfortable with it.
No, it's too big, too big for that. for
There's
these
gonna be
guys.
concrete work, there's gonna be electrical, possibly, if that's what you choose for that shelter.
Maybe.
There's- Yeah, I would believe the construction would go out for bid of it, but as long as you had contractors who would be willing to take a kit that you had pre-picked, it could be a start to saving monies and starting the project next year. That was just the process that was discussed.
So do you have issue with us not putting out the the kit to bid?
I don't think we're close to knowing what the value of that is. The statute says $150,000 is the threshold below which you can go without a bid and above which you shall bid.
Okay,
Well,
so just under 150,000.
I could throw something out right now, because they have looked at them. The prefab kits, you can get a 18 by 24, which is huge, for under $30,000 for the kit. But then you're gonna need the concrete and, the infrastructure built to put the thing on. So I can't imagine it going over 50,000 for one,
For a kit.
for a kit.
Now, I remember some of the justification was that it was commercial grade,
Yes, these are.
so, okay.
They are. But then you have to have somebody build it, and that's where that bid packet comes in, and it's like, oh boy, people get scared.
So you wanna just investigate and let us know what you
Absolutely.
find?
Yeah, that's really the only thing that we're gonna, it's just a directive to Mindy to start looking at the cost for a shelter kit.
Okay, and identifying Kiwanis as your first shelter.
Yeah.
I mean, it really makes me wonder also, why they're avoiding Cedar Lake, these contractors. Even Hen won't bid it, which is a big surprise to me. He doesn't.
I haven't reached out to them, they may.
The bid packet was sent out.
Oh, yeah, the bid packet.
And they just didn't respond to it. So, that's what I'm getting at. We don't wanna spend another 40,000 on a bid and get no results.
Wasn't that last project in architecture, an architect designed structure?
I don't know.
I kind of recall some of that being kit.
I would have to look at it again, I can't remember.
Well, I think the issue with the last project was that, there was the kits for the shelters, but then there was also the brick bathroom facilities, plus,
Which was the majority of the money.
water and sewer and electrical needs. And it was a much larger, more comprehensive project. I think some contractors were scared of bidding on it. The one bid we did get was, exorbitant. So if we can pare it down, do a more simple project, just have a contractor come out, and construct it and have someone pour the concrete, to get something moving.
Well,
Can I suggest that Mindy visit with Tim Kubiak and take a look at this together? Tim certainly's built enough houses and structures and.
Of course.
Oh, definitely, consult with
See if we
them,
can.
Yeah, absolutely. And this would be, the construction of it would be a next year project. At this, even if we did find a kit that we liked and it was a budget that we liked, this would be more of an encumbrance for this year, for next year's project. So I think we have some time to sort out the details on it.
Yeah, I think at the time, contractors were all busied up too. It was months and months out for work, and the cost of materials has fluctuated a lot, so we'll just have to see what happens now.
Yep.
Sure.
Do you have a size requirement for that space?
I think 18 by 24 we could probably even go bigger.
We
than-
have
we can-
the drawings we could reference.
Yeah, let's
We'll look at the drawings.
Right, I think that'd be a good
Let's reference the
idea.
Okay, I'll just do that.
And look
That's
at
the best. Bigger's better for that.
Okay, any more discussion on that item? All right, so I don't think we need to take any more action on that. Okay, we'll go to reports. Superintendent report.
As you can see, we've been really, really busy just trying to get end of year stuff, and as we're identifying survey results and starting to throw some projects at those placeholders, it's created, a lot of work and effort going toward those right now. So In my superintendent report, I really just touch on that we've met in the steering committee for the master plan. We discussed some of those results. Other items of importance is we are the recipient of a beautification award from Girl Scout Troop 35615, and they were awarded, they're going to come to the Parks office to do a beautification of fall decoration, so mums and such, and that will be happening the week of September 14th. So we'll be the recipient of that, which should be great because it will help liven the place up a little bit for our trunk or treat event that's happening in October. I've worked on creating job descriptions and staffing opportunities and review for the Park Board's consideration to recommend to council. We've got a lot of projects in queue right now. The Cedar Creek Fence project going along the creek line is ready to start construction, I'm pretty sure, next week. We did just complete drainage, as the Parks crew did. We addressed some drainage issues over there under the direction of Tim Kubiak, and those have come to completion in order to put the fencing in. So locates and everything are ready to go with a black cyclone fence along the creek side with Cedar Creek. The Cedar Crest slide modification is actually stalled at this moment due to the manufacturer sending us the wrong part. So we're about 3 weeks out from the time of my report from having this project completed. But essentially what we're doing there is we had a ladder approach to the slide and that playground structure that, if I could explain it, was more like an inverted monkey bar type ladder. And we had received safety concerns from the community around that playground over there at Cedar Crest, and we decided to modify that with a step-up unit versus a barred ladder. So it is actual under construction and in a construction zone right now as we await that part, but we will feel more comfortable with making that a better opportunity for kids to not get hurt while accessing the slide. The Hanover Park Guardrail Project, the vendor is working on getting their license with the town and pulling the building permit. Funds have been allocated to move forward with the guardrail around the parking lot at Hanover Park. I'm pretty sure that the timeline will come once the town works on their guardrail project at Sunset Harbors, because it's the same vendor, so I assume they would come out, mobilize, take care of both projects for that. So as that comes to a little more clear timeline for the town and that guardrail project, we should start seeing what they're going to move as far as us and the Hanover project. We're working on over at Hanover Park, we're also working on a swing area that needed to be expanded of surfacing, and at that time that we're going to expand the playground surfacing, we're going to upgrade into the rubber mulch versus the wood chip mulch over there. But it was identified that the construction of that playground originally, that there was not enough room for the swings if somebody were to fall off of the swing at a certain point, they wouldn't fall into the surfacing. So we're going in and expanding about 4 feet in direction front and both front and behind. And while we're out there, we're just going to go ahead and upgrade that into a rubber mulch opportunity. So bringing a little more life over to Hanover Park. And then I'm currently working on estimates for Meyer Manor basketball court, as the board had asked to start identifying some park projects that would be impactful. And Meyer Manor Park is a very old basketball court that is definitely in need of repair or possibly replacement. So I'm working on those quotes, and I'll get those to you to make decisions. Those could possibly be next year projects with the coverages of this year, so from this year.
Nice.
Great, thank you. I forgot to mention Meyer Manor basketball court. That was a need identified that, that court's just in disrepair and it's becoming a safety concern, so.
It's a very old court.
Yeah.
Upcoming events here for the Parks Department is our Trunk or Treat happening October 26th, Taylor Ice Festival. We're in major planning for that festival. That's December 6th and 7th. And because we have a little change-up order, I had just reiterated this in my superintendent report. Our upcoming park board meetings next would be October 3rd, but that November meeting is going to, because of staff being at, and board members attending the ITRA conference in French Lake, we're going to push that meeting date back to November 21st, and we'll make public notice of that change. But to earmark the 21st of November for that November meeting, and then still moving forward with our originally scheduled December 5th meeting
Okay.
for monthly meeting.
All right, thank you, Mindy. Greg, rec coordinator report?
Yes. Okay, so for marketing, we have started over again with the Hanover and Crown Point for their school pages and their newsletters, which is actually coming in handy already. The fitness class, she's up and running. She's getting some really good numbers, actually. Senior gathering, we actually, so it's together now, the socials, the first part, and then the next hour is bingo. We actually had 32 people participate in bingo. That's one of the most I've had since I've been here, yeah. Fall soccer, that's obviously kicked off. First games are next Saturday. If you guys have seen on our Facebook pages, the Parks crew is absolutely doing a great job. Those fields look awesome, so I'm super excited about that. We actually have bleachers on 2 of the fields now. So the kids can have a spot to sit down if they get too tired, so we have bleachers, we just put them out today. And then as you know, sometimes people misplace their game schedules. So on RecDesk, there's a spot now where you can put the game schedules. The game schedule is now online. I messaged all the coaches, let them know about that. Lakeside Artists Guild, they did very well. They very well attended all their events, so that was really cool. I'm working actually in the process of bringing them back. I was going to meet them tomorrow, but they had an emergency, so I'll meet them next week. Movies in the Park. I would like to thank all the sponsors for that. That was great. Well attended. The most attended one was Trolls. Trolls was by far the most attended one. A lot of young kids. It was pretty cool to see. Taylor Ice Fest, obviously, we are in full blown planning on that as we're going along. We are also doing Trunk or Treat, which is October 26th, so that is coming up. The slime class is happening. That is coming up. We have 13 participants. That's coming up on Wednesday. The photo contest, I think everyone but one person still has got all the ribbons, so we did that on social media. That was actually, we had a lot of submissions to that. That was really cool. And as you can tell from the Nerf battles, the 14, 17, we didn't, I think it was just a summer. We couldn't really get to the schools when we tried to do that. Obviously the 10 to 13 age group, we only had 7. And as of this, I put 9, but we're up to 19 now for the 6 to 9. So I'm assuming that is the schools were pushing it out for us, and that got us up to there.
Great.
Yeah.
No, good stuff. Any questions for Greg or Mindy on their report? Okay. Do we want to go over maintenance report, or is that just for our reference?
I can just touch on a little bit.
Is there 1 or 2 things that big wins that they have?
Yeah, we started including a maintenance report because we have like a sub-department of the Parks Department who's actually out there making a really big difference in our park spaces, and I thought it would be best for the board, at least, to start seeing like what they're doing and how they're allocating their time. But reality is that Mary Jo had asked if we could start including this in the actual park board meetings, which we had on the day that she was going to ask for it. So we had like a telekinetic connection there, or telepathic connection, and so we just started throwing these in here, and it's a good tool for us. But aside from like our daily mowing and our cleaning of the clubhouse buildings and the custodial work that we're doing, you know, our crew is out there reestablishing soccer fields, striping soccer fields for the soccer program, mowing the soccer fields for the program. So they put a lot of time, love, and attention in those fields, and since I've been here, this is the best season. I've been so thrilled to open up soccer with them. But they've also been kind of working and dabbling in some drainage opportunities, fixing some drainage in the parks, things that just didn't get around to without an active park crew. We're doing a lot of pruning of trees and bushes in our spaces, which is still continuing, but with so much of it due to the fact that it just had not been done for a decade or so. So we're catching up on some of that back work now that the mowing season has slowed down. they've been really busy, and I think that if you stepped in any of our parks, you'd be pretty happy to see how well that crew's been doing for us.
Yeah. All right, great, thank you. Anything to report from town council?
Not a report, but just a comment. I think that this foreman's report would be important to include in the town council packet when we're talking about adding maintenance workers, because there are things on here that I think go unnoticed, and this would really bolster the need for additional staff.
Okay. So for the consideration of it, or like a monthly, how would you like to see that?
I mean, definitely on the next agenda when we discuss the addition of part-time custodial or maintenance.
Okay.
Because this is a really extensive list. There are things that, you know, we wouldn't know that you guys are doing because they're just done. So.
Okay, we can definitely add that. Maybe I'll just add like the last 2 months so they can just have an idea of what this maintenance crew is doing.
Email Kirsten and Jeff to include this in the packet.
Okay.
I know you're at all the meetings, but it's a lot. So.
It's a lot to get to.
Yeah, it's good to show that our
By the
full-time
time-
maintenance crew is 100% busy, they're not
By the
just
time
sitting
10
around.
p.m. rolls around, maybe, you know, if you want to go through all this in the council meeting.
Sure, I will include this for the consideration of those job descriptions
All right,
along with it, and if they'd like to see that monthly, then just let me know, and we'll include it when I send my superintendent report over. Okay?
okay. There's no written communication, open up for public comment. Hi, Gail.
Gail Brandon, 7014 West 139th Place. You park board members are probably aware, but I don't know if Mindy is, that there was a shelter that was demolished in the construction of the new buildings here in the park. And is there any plans for replacing that shelter? Has that ever been discussed?
Yeah, it's nothing that we've discussed to this point. What we've been trying to do is work with town council to determine who's allocating resources to town grounds. You know, there's a couple pressing items on town grounds, like the Lion's Den roof and the gazebo that was destroyed, that we need to decide, you know, how if we're gonna allocate funds there. And then, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna decide to add another sheltered town grounds, that, you know, location and cost would have to be considered. I know Context Design, we've kind of earmarked town grounds as a concept site, correct? Yeah, so that's gonna be part of the parks master plan. Town grounds was identified for them to do a concept plan, because I think we get 4 or 5 comprehensive concept plans. And so we identified town grounds as one of the sites, so once we get that comprehensive plan,
Yeah, I was just curious if there has been discussion about the replacement of that, so. Okay, and maybe that's something, Julie, that you could put on your list to mention, to discuss, to ask them if there was plans for a replacement, at the time of, you know, the other one was destroyed.
Was that Eagle's Nest, Gail? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was getting Eagle's Nest and Lion's Den
Okay.
confused, yeah.
Lion's Nest, Eagle's Den.
Yeah,
He tried to save it and it collapsed.
that was the issue, right? They tried to move it.
Yeah.
They tried to move it at the time, and it just fell apart. Yeah.
So I had one other thing, and that was the playground equipment that was taken down at Potawatomi Park. Have you discussed or planned to, you know, replace that playground equipment?
That discussion heated up between our group in the past week or so, and you know, we're trying to identify a long-term solution there. I know Mindy had mentioned when she went out with the insurance inspector that the way that park sat, the water runoff was causing a lot of rust issues at the base, and the way the elevation was, the metal ended up twisting.
Right,
So,
I remember that.
yeah, so we're investigating a long-term solution there, whether it's a actual, you know, replacement park structure or some passive park enhancements to that area to beautify it, or just add some amenities that.
I'd like to see some amenities added so that it doesn't go back on the auction block, or, you know, developers coming in and putting on, condos. I
Mhm.
don't wanna see any green space disappear, and if nothing happens there, it just looks like, you know, it'd be up for grabs at a later
And,
date.
and we don't, yeah, and we don't want that either, and we also don't wanna put too much money in it and it gets ripped out of our hands
Yeah.
without our, you know, without
Well,
our.
all lakefront property is high priority for us.
Yeah,
And it is a beautiful spot,
Mhm.
but it's super steep, so we just wanna make sure we're not going to invest in something that's gonna get ruined. It has to be looked
Yeah.
at, what makes sense.
Yeah, there are some, you know, things that could happen there to make it more usable, and, with different grading or different elevations in there, you know, it could be a beautiful lakefront park too.
Mhm.
Agreed.
Yep, and, yeah,
Just giving my 2 cents worth about it.
I'd love to
stuff,
speak to you
know.
about maybe some of the ideas that you have,
Yeah,
and I
it-
can,
Yeah,
you know,
we
we
worked
can take
real
a
hard to
moment.
get that, you know, back into the park and away from a developer,
Yeah.
and I wanna continue on that
Mhm.
path.
no, and, yeah, I can tell you that the discussions on that parcel have heated up in our group
Okay.
recently, for
All
sure.
right. Yeah.
Let's talk, I wanna hear your ideas.
Mhm. Yeah, and any
Yeah.
ideas that you have, you know, we're open ears on
Okay.
anything.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I know we talked about new pavilions at Kiwanis. We know that there's a lot of places that have needs like pavilions, but with the master planning, there's some that we're targeting in the master plan to where we're waiting for a full picture.
Okay.
So we're not setting anything aside.
Nothing's off the table.
Mhm.
When is our next meeting with the steering committee?
We haven't scheduled that yet, so I'm just
Okay.
waiting on that memo from, Contact, and
Okay.
I know how to find that committee.
Mhm.
All right.
I've pulled you together a couple times
All
already.
right, thank you.
We'll
Thank
see you
you.
there, Gail, thanks.
Okay, public comment going twice. Public comment going 3 times. Public comment's closed. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion by Sarah, second by Greg. This meeting's adjourned. Next meeting is October 3rd at 5:30 PM.